A lot of excitement about this one. I do want to talk a little bit about just kind of the life cycle of these consoles. It's been 8 years since the Switch came. The Switch came off of a kind of disappointing console, the Wii U, which came off of, we know how the
Oh,
cycle has been going. I guess the
came in
question now
swinging,
is,
my
with the
God.
Switch 2, how do you avoid that trap again? What makes the Switch 2 a worthwhile upgrade so you don't kind of fall into that Wii U moment again?
Yeah, I think
Wow. So the reason why, unless if you've been living under a fucking rock, but the reason why so many interviews and so many people keep comparing the Switch 2 to the Wii U is that the Wii U, it was awful. I mean, it had nothing on there. Like it was just an awful console. I do wish that Nintendo would just, make a console like a full blown like kind of like how the PlayStation and the Xbox does. I mean, the Wii console itself was an amazing console, but the Wii U was an awful follow up to one of the greatest consoles ever made by Nintendo and probably ever made in general.
I think of a lot of it is happening behind us right now. And really for us, it's about creating that next generation of gaming platforms for us and doing it in a way that really enhances the overall gameplay for consumers. And with Switch 2, we've taken the things that you know and love about Nintendo Switch, but then added very powerful gameplay features and social features. So it's that understanding of your past and your legacy.
This is so laggy. So, and another thing, if you didn't know, Nintendo is going to have a Discord type interaction, which why you would even want this and play Nintendo at the same time, I don't know why, because I mean, I have Discord, I use Discord all the time. The last thing I do is show my face and my screen at the same time, unless if I'm streaming.
And what worked well, and then how can you supplement that with improved features, improved interaction to create what we've created today, which is Switch 2.
Part of that's under the hood, and I know you've partnered with NVIDIA on that. Can you just talk a little bit about the improvements we're going
Whoa, nice.
to see for these gameplay on a technical level? What can you achieve now as a developer on the Switch 2 that you maybe couldn't have done on the Switch 1?
Yeah, so there's a few features that I'll call out. First of all, the new and improved Joy-Con, really redesigned from the ground up. And the Joy-Con 2, which are the controllers that you have either when it's on the device or when you disconnect, when you're in a docking mode, we've designed from the ground up the control sticks. We've increased the size of the shoulder buttons. We've improved the overall feedback and rumble
That's
that you
gonna
feel
break.
when you're playing the game. So that's
It's
just
gonna
one
break
example.
so
From a
easily.
CPU and GPU standpoint, we've greatly improved that capability and capacity, which is now allowing developers.
There's literally no difference here. This side's darker.
We've greatly improved that
That's it.
capability and capacity, which is now allowing developers to really bring deeper and richer content to the platform.
Price is a big issue here. Everyone's talking about it. It's $150 more than the original Switch was. Can you talk a little bit about why we're seeing such a big price increase versus the previous generation?
So I think it boils down to a couple of things. First of all, the hardware unit itself, which has a lot of improved features from some of the things I talked about earlier with the Joy-Con 2.
And that is one thing a lot of people are not talking about is that the Nintendo Switch 2 does have a lot of improvements. That is one thing that cannot be argued is that, yeah, there is a lot of improvements, but you are still overpaying. You are paying full price for outdated hardware, essentially.
Also to the LCD screen that is much larger and
And that
much
is something
deeper
that
and
can
richer.
be
And then
argued.
there's the CPU and GPU processing power that allows for much deeper game development, and I think an ability to bring even more developers onto the platform. And then laid on top of that is the social features that we haven't talked about. But Game Chat is this unique feature that lays on top of any game that you play. With the push of one button, seamlessly you can connect with your friends, you can chat with them via audio, or with
This
four
is
of
so
them, you can have them on a
laggy.
video camera and have this opportunity to interact and talk about the games you're playing.
Now we're sitting here on April 2nd. It just so happens, as we're recording this, the President of the United States right now is announcing his tariffs. You and so many other
Oh,
executives are pulling their hair
wow.
out, trying to figure out how do I price my products.
Big props
How
to
did
this
that
fucking
come into play
interview.
as you're deciding how to price the Switch 2 here in the United States?
Yeah. As we price the Switch 2, the price we announced today of $449 for the single SKU, We didn't consider tariffs into that equation. We felt that that was going to be the right price point for our consumers and the right value proposition, if you will, for the device that we're creating. A lot of news today. We're still all trying to really understand it better and understand what possible impacts, may rise from that. But nothing I can really add to, today's discussion around pricing.
What sucks too is that they know they can get away with it. There's like that like there's no one on this planet that isn't going to be paying full price for that shit. I mean, it's crazy to say that. Their main selling point is that yeah, it is a much stronger console. But the thing about Nintendo Switch games is that you don't really need a strong console for that. Like I'd imagine if they released most games on the App Store or on Google Play, like your phone or your iPad, whatever you can play on, is going to be able to handle it just fine.
And typically consoles lose money, but you make them up not on the hardware, but you make it up on the software. Is that kind of the idea with this as well?
Well, I would say that we all are trying to find a way to maintain, if you will, margins on the hardware, even though they may be more slim than they are on.
Oh my gosh. CNBC is fucking going at it, my gosh. But I mean, yeah, like Nintendo just needs to make like an actual console. Just, like make a console. Don't make a fucking iPad with joysticks
Software.
on it.
But yeah, the whole
iPad mini.
proposition, really, the value add proposition here is once you install the hardware, we want to keep consumers engaged. We want to make sure that they're seeing the value in their investment in one of our devices. So we're ensuring that we always have gameplay experiences and a regular cadence of gameplay experiences that allows them to come in, purchase, try, play a game, purchase the next game, and really stay engaged with the device over time. And that's part of the success we had with Nintendo the next game.
What game was
really
he playing?
Stay engaged with the device over time. And that's part of the success we had with the Nintendo Switch.
I think that's one thing people miss out a lot is the value you get out of games. You might go to the movies, pay $30 or whatever for one outing at the movies, but that's a 2-hour experience, whereas this, hundreds of hours, right? For paying it.
Absolutely. And if we use the Nintendo Switch as an example, we've installed over 150 million units of Nintendo Switch over its lifetime worldwide. Last year, 129 million of those devices were still active. So that's really what's important. We want to make sure consumers see that value and that we're always providing them with new gameplay experiences and other experiences that'll keep them engaged on the platform.
Now, let's talk about the games.
Yep.
Behind us, we have the new Mario Kart World game going on. Now, I know you're bundling that with the console as a digital download. That it's a $50 add-on. But if you buy the game,
$500 for a Nintendo Switch 2 and a Mario Kart World bundle. Nintendo Switch 2 camera. That just that looks like what a school would give you like during lockdown to use as your webcam.
game itself, this got a
$70 for Donkey Kong Bonanza. Just like this is just the base game too. This ain't even like including DLCs or nothing. That is ridiculous.
lot of attention. I don't know if you've seen $80. That's a lot for a game. I know it's typically not what Nintendo charges. And then we look at the Donkey Kong game that's coming out about a month later. It's $70. Can you talk a little bit about how the gaming pricing strategy is $80 kind of the benchmark for a AAA game from Nintendo? What should we be expecting in the Switch 2 generation as far as how much we're going to be spending on these games?
Yeah, I would say that we're not really looking to establish a benchmark for pricing. We look at every game and every experience.
But they will. I mean, other gaming companies are gonna look at this and see, oh, they're charging 80. Oh, we can do the same thing too. And the crazy thing about that too is that most games, especially Nintendo games, do not warrant a fucking $60 price tag.
And determine what we
Most Nintendo games like genuinely can be run on your phone and do not warrant the iPad with joysticks.
believe is the right price point based on that experience. You've had a chance to play Mario Kart World and see how deeply immersive it is and how fun it is. And we haven't shown everything yet. We still have a Mario Kart World Direct that'll be coming that'll show even the deeper feature set. So we believe based on the depth and breadth of the play and the repeatability of the play over time, the pricing that we announced is the right pricing. But again, other games like you mentioned, Donkey Kong Bonanza, it's going to be at a $70 price point because that
I will say that, you know,
you mentioned Donkey Kong
Mario
Bonanza,
Kart World
it's going to
and whatnot, like it looks cool and all that, but I mean, 80
be at a
dollars.
$70 price point because that is what we feel is the right price point for that particular gaming experience.
So there's no standard price, basically.
There's
is
no
what you're
standard.
telling me.
There's no standard price.
What
That's
about
right.
for third-party titles? Is that kind of up to the developer?
That's exactly right.
Okay.
It's really their choice based again on the type of gameplay experience that they're bringing.
Let's talk about supply. Really interesting pre-order mechanism you got going on, at least through if we buy from you directly.
That's right.
And I thought this was interesting. It seems to be an anti-scalper move, if I'm reading it correctly, where you have to have a Nintendo account. You're going to look at how many hours I play before you determine if I'm worthy of buying a Switch 2. Are people going to be able to go out and buy it on day one?
So you're going to see, first of all, you're speaking to our own pre-order program
Yeah.
that we have through My Nintendo or through Nintendo.com. And
It's nice that they are trying to combat scalpers, and Nintendo is definitely like one of the highest, you know, targets for scalpers and whatnot. So it's nice that they actually are trying to take a jab at it, but I mean, I guess we'll only have to see if that's gonna
And
even
our
work.
motivation there with the number of hours played was really to reward our most loyal players and to give them a chance to queue up first and have an opportunity to purchase the product. Tomorrow we're
nice.
going to be meeting with our retail partners, and our retail partners will have their own pre-order programs. So our goal is to meet the demand that's going to be out there for Nintendo Switch 2.
Do you think you can?
Well, it remains to be seen.
Yeah.
But that certainly is our goal.
It's not going to be a Wii 1 situation where
We certainly
years of supply constraints, or the PlayStation 5 years of supply constraints. No COVID to deal with now, so
That's correct.
good,
That's
yeah.
correct. And we've had some time to build up inventories on a global basis.
Okay.
So we really do hope we
So
can meet
these are
that
ready
today.
to ship. They're ready to go.
They're even landed already, and some in the United States. Yes.
Oh wow! So now people are
Oh,
going to
nice.
go hunting for warehouses, I think, for these things. I want to talk about safety.
But there's gonna be
kid
scalpers
safety.
at those
When
fucking
I saw
stores.
you-
That interview really took some fucking jabs at him. My God. But man, that is just crazy. I mean, really, just the biggest issue is just the pricing. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're paying full price for outdated hardware. You're paying full price for, you know, games that aren't really that big. I mean, the IP is huge, like Mario, obviously. So I can understand that, but man, that's just insane. And especially considering that a lot of Nintendo games are still, they're still full price. I mean, like if you look at hang on, let me go here. Yeah, like right here. All like Mario games, like even from way back when, they're still full price. I mean, it's absolutely ridiculous. And on the off chance that they do go on sale, it's like, I mean, it is very rare that they ever do go on sale, but on the off chance they do go on sale, it's only like 10 or so dollars, and it's never for a long time. It's just ridiculous. I mean, Nintendo knows absolutely that they can get away with it, but I just really hope that this isn't the new industry standard to start charging more than $60 for a game when most games don't even warrant a $60 price. And there's a reason why like Steam Valve has been getting so much respect lately, because Steam has so many developers that develop indie games. That's why indie games are just at an all-time high, because people just can't afford to pay full price whenever a new game comes out, especially just to play it for a short time. I mean, if you look at fucking Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League, I mean, that game was full price, and it only lasted like a few weeks, if that. I mean, it was gone the next year. I mean, with these games, like, I can see that there's going to be a lot of people paying for it, but I think over time they're going to start losing they're going to start losing retention, because there's just like there's so many fans of Nintendo, but there's so many people that are just not going to be able to afford to keep up with these games, especially considering that the Nintendo Switch 2 games, like those games are only going to be for Nintendo Switch 2. So it's not like how with PlayStation 5, like you could play PlayStation 4 games on there, and you know whatever other past generation games were available on the PlayStation 5. It's not going to be like that with Nintendo Switch 2. Like, you are only going to be able to play Nintendo Switch 2 games on the Nintendo Switch 2, which is really stupid if you think about it, because that's just going to lose so many people. It's just going to have to force so many people that love the Nintendo properties and the Nintendo games to go and pay full price for a console that is outdated in terms of hardware, and just to play games that again cost full price, and then when the next game drops out it's also going to be full price. I mean, it's not going to be viable for a lot of people. It's just really stupid, and that's why, like, if you really love games and everything, like, your best bet is just to buy a PC and play Steam games, because there's a lot of games like Repo or Lethal Company or Bad Parenting, really indie games that are just have so much love into them put into them, but they are not full price. And if they were full price, then people would not be playing them as much. I mean, it's ridiculous to be charging the same price as a PlayStation 5 and an Xbox One when your main selling point is just like a few games, and especially not being able to play past generation games on that. And that's just ridiculous. But yeah, that's about it.